Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Blog Talk Radio's Spirit Speaks Radio with Spirit Man Joseph Tittel. That's me, and we are live on YouTube as well, doing the last live broadcast of my radio show, Spirit Speaks Radio. I decided to make this my last show on Blog Talk Radio because any of my listeners throughout the world who have been listening to me on Blog Talk Radio for the past 8 years or so, 7 years, 8 years, something like that. Probably about 7 years, I think, on Blog Talk Radio. And I've been on, hey, hold on here. I've been on radio altogether for at least about 9 years. Wait. Oh, no. Okay, so hopefully you all can hear me out there. I am having a little bit of an issue here, and I'm trying to figure it out with Blog Talk. Not Blog Talk, with YouTube. But other than that, all of my guests in my chat room on Blog Talk Radio, I welcome you. I won't be able to check in with you very often because I have too much going on here. But I will start off by telling you all that I am absolutely a little bit exhausted this evening. And I went from doing 8 to 9 hours of sleep of night to the past, how many weeks has it been now? 3 weeks of about 4 to 6 hours a night sleep. So not what I'm typically used to at all, that's for sure. And I know that there should be a chat room here somewhere on YouTube. So I'm looking for that so that I can keep up with the people in the chat room. In both chat rooms. There we go. All right, cool. Very much so cool. So everybody out there, I thank you for joining me this evening for this last broadcast on Blog Talk Radio. But I will be doing things on YouTube for here and there. I'll be doing live events on YouTube along with doing different types of videos on YouTube. And when Spirit calls me to do something differently, I'll do something differently. But for now, this is what we're doing. Everybody can hear me in the both chat rooms, correct? Let me just double check. Everybody, why am I not sleeping? Okay, well, that's a good question. Well, let's start with the shift that's going on the planet. Let's talk about that for a moment, because there are amazing things that are happening for all of us on the planet Earth right now. Amazing shifts of energy that the universe or God, whatever you want to refer to it as, the source, is sending these waves of energy. And they started way back in 2012 when December 21st, 2012 came in. And as we progress, they're going to get more and more intense. And these shifts of energy are there to really assist us and help us in the process of what what the planet's going through, and because of the process of this big battle that we have going on against darkness and light. And if any of you watched the video that I posted on social media for YouTube, it was very interesting that I wasn't even trying to find any information out about Prince at all, because I had my own personal transformation going on. And in that transformation, in my meditation on this past Saturday, the day of Prince's memorial, I kept getting a message about Archangel Ezekiel. And I follow many different angels and such, but Archangel Ezekiel I've heard of before, but don't really know a whole lot about. Same with Saint Germain. I heard of him, but don't really know a whole lot about him, detail wise. So when I got the message of Archangel Ezekiel, I actually totally forgot about it. I was doing an event in my home space, and when I do that, I cast sacred space, and I was meditating, and that's when it came to me. And then later on that evening, I saw something online or on TV about the world lighting up purple. I'm like, now that's very interesting, and that has to be significant in some way, besides just because of honoring Prince and Prince's death, including the Niagara Falls lit up purple. And somebody left me that comment earlier on YouTube, so I thank you for letting me know about that. And they lit it up purple actually for the birthday of the Queen, I believe, and not for Prince. It just was coincidence that it lit up purple. No coincidences at all, of course. So we began these shifts. You know, when I do readings for people, life readings, future stuff, I'm not the typical psychic that's going to tell you, look, this is what's going to happen, period. We do have many different potential futures and many different potential paths. And what happens in a life reading with me is those different if you continue doing everything in your life the way you're doing it now, that's what's going to show up in the reading. But if you don't like what you hear or see that comes up, we have an ability to shift that in a different direction. And usually in those sessions, different guides and angels will come through and tell me what direction or help them. Usually their guides, their personal guides, because no matter what, all of us have spirit guides, angels, allies, spirit animals, and so forth that we have as our team, not including all our ancestors and everything that's around us as well. And they're there to help us. You know, those voices in your head, your intuition is actually your spirit guides and guardian angels giving you the information that would do you best in your life. How many times have you said to yourself, I knew I should have did that, or I knew I should have went that way, or I knew I should have picked that? We get the intuition. See, there's balance in the world of light and dark, positive and negative. That's everything in the world. Even you and I, humans, we have 50% light, 50% dark. And it's really up to us what we tap into and what we bring out of us. And of course, we want to tap into the light. So out of that 50% light and 50% dark, that's how the whole entire universe works. But eventually that light is going to shine and the darkness is it's not going to be dark anymore. But, you know, you think the darkness is going to give up without a fight when it's been controlling this planet for the past 2,000 years? Of course it's not. But you think anybody's going to win a fight against the universe and the Lord and the source and God, the divine? Absolutely not. God, goddess, whatever you want to refer to. It's all the same to me. The universal. And it's just amazing to me. We actually are in the Aquarian age now, and the Aquarian age is all about people finally opening up and starting to awaken to the truths that are going on the planet. I actually had a conversation with some really good friends at lunch today, and we were talking about the whole fluoride thing. And my one friend is from Sweden and or Switzerland. Oh my God. Sweden. And she was telling me when she was a kid in school, every week they had the lady they called the fluoride lady. And she would come into the school every week and they had to rinse out their mouths with fluoride. That's kind of strange, don't you think? The whole truth about that. And, you know, my dentist argues with me. Well, not my dentist, the lady that what do they call her? The lady that does the teeth cleanings, that woman. What do they call them? Oh God, I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, she argues with me and thinks I'm kind of crazy because I say that. And I'm like, do your research before you jump to a conclusion of anything. Make sure you do your research first, because I didn't believe it at first until it was pointed out to me. And I started to do my research. So before I go into these topics anymore, like I said, I am a little exhausted myself, because with this transformation on the planet, it affects the last one that we had really has a heavy effect on people that are artists, musicians, intuitives, creative people. it can have a really intense effect on those folks. It had an intense effect on me, and it made my life shift in a completely good direction, of course, but it just shifted very quickly. And it was shifting. I've been working on this for years, different things and changing things, switching over to organic eating, all kinds of stuff like that. But it went into high gear shift about, and I've been working on that particular shift the past 2-3 months. And it went into high gear about a week after the full moon on March 23rd or March 22nd. The next full moon we just had Friday the 22nd. And I think last month it was either the 21st or the 23rd of March. I think it might have been the 23rd. And about a week after that, the energy got really wonky and crazy on the planet. And I could feel it. And it was like almost like my body was standing on, especially the one week. I called my friend. I'm like, I swear, you remember them things? I don't know if they have them in other countries, but they used to have them here. And they're these little platforms you put 50 cents in, or you put a quarter in, and the whole thing vibrates. And I think they're supposed to make you lose weight, or I don't even know what they're supposed to do. It literally felt like I was standing on one of those for like a week. It was pretty kind of interesting and kind of bizarre at the same time. But in order for us to take advantage of this energy, we got to go with the flow of the energies that the divine is sending to the planet. And we have to take advantage of that by making that transformation happen in our lives. That's what it's all about right now. In order for us to win over the darkness, we need to turn to the light and let that light come out through us. And, I had somebody on, I think it was my Facebook page, and I posted something on my fan page on Facebook about Prince and different things. And wow, that caused a war with some people. It was quite interesting. I was just putting my opinion up there. I wasn't saying that it was written in stone. It was just feeling. And this one person, it was all about bringing up religion and telling me that I needed to do this and I needed to repent and I needed to do that. And, my praying to the Divine Mother and Jesus wasn't enough. And I just think that's ridiculous, because if you look back over the past 2,000 years, especially during the Pisces age, it was all about, do what you're told, listen to what you're told, follow the leader. And that's what we did for 2,000 years. We followed the leaders, we followed the politicians, we followed the governments, we followed the religions. And I said many, many years ago that the religions were going to start to collapse, starting with the Catholic Church. And it's been doing that for a long time. And that's only nothing wrong with Christianity at all. Like I said, I prayed to the Divine Mother, but I also pray to different ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses as well that I work with on a spiritual level. That doesn't mean that I need to go to church and repent like this person said. It was kind of a little ridiculous and extremely judgmental. And that's the problem with many folks, is they're so judgmental of other people's beliefs. Why can't we just accept each other's beliefs and go on with that? Why do we have to judge everybody, and tap into that? It's just senseless and stupid, really. Or no, not stupid. I don't like to use that word. It's less than smart. That's the word I would choose. Less than smart. And why do we need to do that? It's just a little ridiculous, actually. So everything has shifted and changed in my life in such an amazing way. It's pretty interesting. And I went with the flow of the energy. I was preparing for this for a while. I had some shamanic work done recently. Probably, I think it was a week into my personal big transformation. And I had some shamanic work done that was really interesting, and really released things on such an amazing level. And I thank my shaman friends so much for that. You are amazing. And actually, for the past couple of years, I've been trying to work on my next book. I got the name of it one night in the middle of my sleep, but I've never actually, every time I sit down to write this book, I draw a blank. And I'm like, wow, why can't I sit down and get this book written? And now I know why. Because it was just recently, during this time of transformation, that spirit told me, you're going to write an autobiography of your life. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. No way. Oh, yes, you are. And it was really interesting that right after they told me that, somebody posted somewhere, I think on one of my YouTube videos, and I don't remember exactly what the person said, but it had something to do with your past doesn't define you, and that I can see the transformation that's happened in your life. I don't know how they could see that if they haven't seen me anywhere in a while. And just what this person said resonated so much with the message that Spirit told me, that you're going to write about this. You're going to write about all the experiences that you had coming from that point of birth to the point that you are now. So I'm kind of excited about that aspect of work and sitting down and actually having the time to write that. But being that I had to take a week off of work and things, I had to reschedule people. My schedule is completely slammed. So it's a little hard for me to get time for myself. But I'm very excited because as a part of my transformation as well, I have a personal assistant that should be working for me very soon. And I'm very excited about that. That'll give me the time to work on online workshops and classes and stuff. So let me go back to the topic. Again, I'm leaving Blog Talk Radio because of several reasons. If you listen to me on Blog Talk Radio, you've heard about it before. And I'm not going to waste my time talking about them any longer. They had an opportunity. They lost that opportunity. And because of that, I am leaving. And I will go somewhere else like YouTube. And YouTube's better anyway because you get a little chance to see me. And my goal is I'm in Pennsylvania now outside of Philadelphia. And my goal is to be out of here by this time next year and living in Sedona, Arizona. I was told that I needed to move there a couple years ago, and now I'm making all the important steps to make that happen and make it happen as quick as I possibly can. And I'm excited about it. It's going to be an exciting journey for myself and all of us. So back to the March 23rd shift that we had. About a year ago in my life readings, when I was doing life readings, Spirit kept telling me, I can see sometimes very often patterns in people's readings, like when the Mercury retrogrades. I very often can tell when there's a Mercury retrograde coming because it shows up in their readings all the time during a certain time period. And I'm like, oh, there's got to be a Mercury retrograde in July because it's coming up in everybody's reading, the delays and stuff. And that's all Mercury retrograde stuff. But I kept getting that there was going to be huge shifts on the planet in 2016. And I'm sure it's in my predictions, which you can also find on YouTube. The written predictions hopefully will be out within the next week or so, as soon as I actually have time to sit down and finish overlooking them and adding what I want to add to it, new stuff. And once that happens, that'll be available on my website. I encourage my listeners on Blog Talk Radio, my followers from all over the world on Blog Talk Radio, to, if you have not already, make sure you sign up to my newsletter on my website. I try to get a newsletter out there once a month. I don't usually put more than one out a month. And make sure if you're on social media that you look for me on there. Facebook, you'll find me under Psychic Medium Joseph Tittel and Medium J Tittel on Twitter, and then here on YouTube. And that's pretty much the only places I really hang out or look around is those social medias. And that's where you'll get updates and things that are going on. Now going back again to these shifts that Spirit kept telling me that were going to happen this year. One of them they said was mid to late May. So when we had this thing happen back in March, a week after the full moon, exactly a week after the full moon, I looked up and I'm like, well, wait a second, guys. I thought you guys said mid to late May. And I got the response, well, that's nothing in comparison to what you're going to see coming up in the next year. I was told about the mid to late May shift, and I was also told about a shift in mid to late July. I was thinking about this today or yesterday, and I thought about it, and we just had a full moon this past, Friday, the 22nd, which is also a powerful number. The date, the 22nd, is a very significant in numerology, especially if you have a birthday on a 22 day. I'm on a 22 day myself. Having that full moon, that was the day after Prince's death was announced. It was the in-between day of his announcement of his death and the day the memorial was held at Paisley Park. Another thing, I don't know if I added it in my video, but if you look at pictures of Paisley Park, Prince's home compound, you can see the pyramids, the glass pyramids all throughout the top roof of Paisley compound. I like to say compound because it looks like a compound. It's huge. It's gigantic. My only question about the whole thing with Prince is, how does a man, I know he was very, very private, very, very private. And if you heard the reports recently, when he was in the hospital, when they took him down out of the airplane and took him into the hospital, they blacked out all the information on the record so that it could be private and nobody will know what happened and why he was there. Now, to me, that alone just thinks that there's something shady, but it really doesn't matter because the information I got, again, if you go back to the video that I made, the information I received is this was all part of Prince's soul contract. There's a lot of garbage out there about this Illuminati and this, that, and that's the sacrifice. And because it was on The Simpsons, it's a sacrifice. And even if it were, so to speak, even if it were, what I found, and it's not even using that word, the Illuminati, is totally the wrong word to use. because they really are Luciferians, and they're not devil worshippers or saint worshippers, because devil worshippers and saint worshippers come from that's everything has a positive and negative, like I said earlier, 50% light, dark. Christianity is the positive, and Satanism and devil worship is the opposite. And that came about, I think, in the 60s when Anton LaVey came out with the Satanic Church in California and the Satanic Bible. The Luciferians, that's totally different category altogether. I'm not even going to bring them up at all other than that. But using that word Illuminati is just part of their plan to throw you off. And Illuminati means enlightened ones, bringers of light. But now, if you read the Bible, Lucifer was a bringer of light. So all of it just kind of connected to me in a download. It just all hit me. And I'm like, whoa, that kind of really amazed me at first about, Lucifer being in control of the earth for the past 2,000 years, and all his negative people that are with him, negative, whatever you want to call them, and how it's all about power and control. And if you look up CERN, the Hadron Collider in Switzerland, which is buried underground in a 20-mile radius of a circle, there goes that circle significance again. And it's built right over an ancient temple. I forget which temple it is. I think it's the Temple of Artemis. I'm pretty sure about that, but I'm not 100% sure. So all of it's significant, especially that the CERN has this big statue of the goddess Shiva out front, which is the goddess of destruction of the planet. So that's all their goal. Their whole entire goal is to recreate a world that is totally in control by Lucifer. They wanted this world to be completely dark. They want this world to be 100% hell. And it's not 100% hell right now. It's 50-50. And the object is for us to open up into the light. And then you have all these major corporations, and you have Coke, not Coca-Cola, but Coke, Koch, that company. You have all the record companies. That's why Prince wrote the word slave on the side of his face, because he said that he had such a fight with the record companies and they would never give him the rights to Purple Rain or any of his own music. So, if you're out there buying his music and it's Purple Rain music, he isn't even getting that. That's all the record companies. They own the rights to that, which is just really, really sad. And that's why he wrote slave on his face, that, and because of being slaves to the banks, the Federal Reserve, corporations, all of that. People don't know, but Prince was very into that. Jehovah Witness or not, even if he was a Jehovah Witness, I don't even know if that's 100% true, but he was very into what people call conspiracy theories. You look on Google and you Google him on YouTube, you'll find videos of Prince doing interviews talking about the chemtrails. Chemtrails are what the airplanes spread out of the back of them. There's condensation clouds, which disappear very quickly, and that's just condensation. And then there's chemtrails, where they spray us with chemicals, including aluminum. And that's one of their ways of controlling weather and destroying everything. And that's part of what the darkness wants to do. They want to destroy everything in God's creation. That's why they're ripping apart the rainforests. That's why they're polluting the oceans. That's, all of that. I wouldn't doubt that they're responsible for the tsunami that hit in Japan. With some kind of electronic equipment that they have. I wouldn't doubt it, but I don't really care either, because the darkness is going to lose, and the darkness is already losing, and the darkness is getting pretty pissed off about it, actually. And you got to watch, because if you are an enlightened one, the darkness will try to attack you. The darkness doesn't want us to do our job that we came here to do. That's why all the more reason why we got to focus on being healthy, having nothing that our body depends on, including caffeine, sugar, all that stuff. We need to be pure and whole as we can possibly be, because when you're in your core self and you exercise, you do yoga, and you do all those things, eat organic as much as you can, you become a part of your core self. No pharmaceutical drugs, none of that stuff. And that's how you allow your light to really begin to shine. All these things with the drugs out on the streets and the heroin, and especially the opiate addictions that are out there, that's all part of their plan. I mean, come on, look up the war in Afghanistan and what it was about. It was all about the poppy. It was all about the poppy fields. But again, that doesn't really matter. But that's what Prince did. He was very into that. He was very into David Icke's books. He read David Icke's books. He insisted on meeting David Icke. If you go to David Icke, I think he did a video recently on Facebook talking about it, and talk about meeting Prince, and how Prince was very, very aware of what was happening on the planet. So yeah, it's possible that, yeah, maybe the Illuminati did something. But regardless, from what I got in my download, it was part of his contract. So he would have died anyway. I find it very weird and kind of odd that he was in that big Paisley Park compound all by himself. A man of his status and his geniusness to be in a building like that with no security whatsoever, I find that kind of be a little odd, really odd, actually. And then today I heard he didn't have a will. I find that to be very odd as well. I think he did have a will, and I think that something's being covered up again. And then I heard another thing: his estate's worth over $300 million, and out of $300 million, 147 million of that goes to the government in estate tax. That's ridiculous. They get us coming into this country and they get us going out of this country, and probably the rest of the world too. But that's all about to end in the shift on the planet. And that's what was so meaningful about Prince's death. And whatever, again, whether it was their plan to kill him or not, it totally did the opposite of what they wanted it to do. And that's why the planet illuminated in the color purple, because the color purple, the Saturday in my meditation, when I got the message of Archangel Ezekiel, when I looked up purple and such, I know purple, my room and in the other room around the corner here, where I do all my prayers and meditations and all my private sessions with clients or group sessions as well. The room's purple and gold. Purple is the level of our crown chakra at the top of our head. It's in the center of our brain where our pineal gland is, and our pituitary gland is where our third eye is. That's indigo and violet. And it's said that in ancient traditions that through the top of our head and the crown chakra is how we communicate with God, the divine, and our loved ones in spirit and ancestors and such. But that's why they put fluoride in our water, to try to screw up those glands, the pineal gland, the pituitary glands, and the thyroid glands, all of those located where major chakras are. And that's why so many people have thyroid problems and things like that, Alzheimer's, dementia, all that is all related. It's all connected to each other. But it's going to end. See, what's going to happen is if you go back to the ancient peoples, the ancient tribes and such, all talked about the earth changes. And eventually, God's going to shake the hell out of this planet. And when he does, look out. Because what's going to happen is it's not going to be Armageddon, the whole world's coming to an end. It's not going to happen like that. But yes, there's going to be things that are going to happen, and it's going to get to a point where we the people, are going to have no other choice but to come together in pure love and in a different state of consciousness so that we can bring pure love to the planet Earth. And that's what the Aquarian Age is going to be all about once we get through this process. And it takes years for things to happen. This planet will be a planet that is filled with nothing but love, peace, and joy. The same love that we get when we die and go to back home to spirit world or heaven. The same love, and that love in heaven is pure love. There's no anger, there's no hatred, there's no sadness. It just does not exist. And so that's pretty much it. So looking up, there's so much, and I'm not going to go over all the details on Blog Talk Radio tonight because there's so much. And I don't actually, where's my little notebook at? My microphone's on my little notebook. Let's see. So everything lit up purple. And how about the song When Doves Cry? It's kind of interesting because the doves represent peace, love, world peace. And, it's kind of like the doves were crying when Prince died. But at the same time, the color purple and illuminating the whole world in purple brought in the energies of Archangel Ezekiel, brought in the energies of Saint Germain. And if you go and look those up, you'll find it very fascinating that I forget which one's which. I think it's Ezekiel. All of his energies about cleaning up pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, food pollution, contamination of our food. They've been contaminating our food for 100 years now, putting chemicals in it and pesticides purposely to give us diseases and try to kill us. That's part of their plan of controlling everything. That's why it's important to eat organic, and you got to watch out if you're in the United States with that USDA green seal that you see on organic products, because in the United States, they have lenient laws when it comes to organic food. And it could be like, I forget the percentage, 10%, something like 10%. And there could be 10% pesticides in it and stuff, which is just ridiculous. But still, anything that you can do to better your health and better yourself is going to help you. Things that would be important would be growing your own food, so that you know what you're eating. It's one of my passions, actually, is growing my own food every year. And I've been, ever since I was a kid, actually. My grandfather on my mother's side was a farmer at some point, huge gardener, and I learned everything from my grandfather. I had my first garden when I was 5 years old, and it was actually a pumpkin patch, because that's what I wanted when I was 5. I wanted a pumpkin patch. And that's how I started gardening. And I've been gardening pretty much all my life, whenever I can. And I already got my garden in this year. So Archangel Ezekiel and Saint Germain share something in common, and that's the twin purple flame. And that twin purple flame illuminates within all of us. So that's why it's important. You might see that I'm wearing purple now. I've been wearing purple for the past few days. I'm honoring the purple. I'm meditation in purple. I actually had clients today, and I don't know if it was both my clients or one of my clients. Everything came up about the color purple in their reading, which I thought was really interesting. I'm like, this is kind of interesting because of everything that happened with Prince and everything that's going on in the world right now. It just makes complete sense to me. Now, Prince, interesting enough, died on an elevator, as we all know. And some people say he was on the first floor. Some people say he was on the top floor. Regardless, I'm sure he pressed that up button, because no matter what, he was evolving back up into the spirit world. And I have no doubt in my mind that people know, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, that they're going to die. Before my mother passed, there was nothing wrong with my mother at the time, like that we knew of. And I remember her calling me the Friday before she died. She died that weekend, begging me to come see her. And she started talking to me about things. And some of the things that she was talking about was how she wanted to be buried or cremated and wanted her ashes spread up in upstate New York and all these things. I'm like, Mom, why are you talking about this? Well, because you're the only one of my children that will do what I ask you. I'm like, but you're not going anywhere. Why would you say that? And me, being a psychic at the time, still killed myself over the whole process. I went down a very dark path after that, thinking that I should have known, and she knew because she talked about that. My grandfather on my mom's side did the same thing. He went around and made peace with people that he didn't have peace with, and then all of a sudden died. So that's interesting in itself. Look at Prince and his last concert that he did. The last concert that Prince did at his Paisley Park estate. Who invites strangers? A man that's, again, very much to himself, very much keeps to himself and leads a very, very private life, extremely private life. Who like that invites people into his home to have a concert for $10 when he could probably get thousands of dollars per ticket for that particular show? I find that to be amazing and touching. And I have no doubt that that night he either knew consciously, but definitely subconsciously knew that he was going to die that night, as a part of his soul contract, as a part of God knowing that this would light up the world in purple. It's interesting that Prince's death was way bigger than Michael Jackson's, where Michael Jackson, we would think, was way more famous than Prince. We didn't light up the world when Michael Jackson died. It wasn't the same. It's very interesting. Going back to the calendar of these events and the shift on the planet, because I think it's important for all you to know this as well, because I kind of figured out that the pattern of how this is going to work this year. So they told me that the March full moon, I think it was about exactly a week. I got to look at the other calendar because that one's on April. Let me pull up the calendar on my computer real quick and tell you the exact date. I know that on April 4th, which was a Monday, I posted on Facebook a post that said that the energy is really wonky. And whenever that happens, something major happens. Always, 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 always. Something major happens with the earth. The earth actually shifts and changes. When the earth shifts and changes, it causes severe weather patterns, earthquakes, volcanoes, all that stuff happens. Well, it was exactly, 10 days, I believe. Wait a second. I got to think about this for a minute. Yeah, it was exactly 10 days later that the earthquakes in Japan happened. And in between that, I think that was the 14th, Thursday, the 14th is when the earthquakes happened in Japan. And then it was the 15th, I believe, that their volcano began to erupt. And then it was Saturday, the 16th, that the Ecuador had their earthquake. So that happened, started on a Thursday, ended on a Saturday. Exactly a week after Prince's death, I mean, after the Japan earthquake, is exactly a week. Thursday, the 21st, was the day they announced Prince's death. Any coincidence there? Because exactly a week after the Ecuador earthquake was the day of Prince's memorial. The same day that his family, which I think this is so awesome, first of all, that his family loaded up a truck with those round boxes. I'm sure some of you saw that, or if you watched the video that I posted, these round boxes that were purple and filled with Prince memorabilia. First of all, that nobody does that. So to me, this was a giving thing. When you give and you give things away, it's opening up your heart. It's opening up your heart and it's raising your consciousness. They went out there, even his sister and family members, and handed out these boxes to strangers that were fans of Prince. To me, that is a big heart-opening moment for all those people and for the world. But those boxes in itself, like, first of all, where did they come from? I kind of wonder about that. I don't know if that's something that they gave away or sold normally, because I've never seen them or heard about them before. And I'm a 80s child, well, 70s child, but loved the 80s and was a big fan of Prince and always will be a big fan of Prince. Those boxes were purple and they were round. Round, the circle is very significant in geometry and in the world, in the universe. Everything is round. Everything goes around. The circle of life, the never-ending circle. Life continues over and over and over. The planet Earth is round. The planet Earth spins around. So there was just, to me, so much significance in them doing that was so powerful for the planet and really raises the level of consciousness of people on the planet without them even knowing about it. And that's the best part about it. People are opening up and they don't even realize it's happening. I'm getting emails from people, comments on Facebook, comments on social media. I feel like it. I feel something's happening. I feel it, like my energy feels different. And of course it does. So actually, let me go back to my calendar for a second. The full moon in March. Oh, it doesn't say on this calendar. Darn it. Let me pull this calendar down for a second. The full moon in March, I believe, was the 23rd, but let's just double check on that. Full moon in March was the 23rd. So it was exactly one week and 23rd, 1, 2, 3 weeks. It took 3 weeks for that big shift to happen, like with the earthquakes and stuff, 3 weeks. But we started to feel it 2 weeks after the full moon, maybe even a week after the full moon. And that's when I posted again on April 4th that the energy was wonky and we can expect earth changes to happen, but also something major to happen in the world as well. And Prince's death was something major that happened in the world. The coolest and interesting part about this is how Prince's death was announced Thursday, again, the week after the Japan earthquakes. But it was also the last day of that full moon cycle from March, ending that cycle of that transformation period. Because I believe my transformation has been going on all year and it's been going on for years, but it kicked into high gear for me on April. Wait, let me go to April here. April 10th, I believe. Yeah, I think it was the 10th that mine kicked into high gear. Wait, what's today? Today's the 26th. So 1, 2, wait, oh, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it was the 10th when my energy got really wonky, right around the 10th. The 4th is when I felt it heavy, but the 10th is when it affected me deeply and affected my life very deeply. And good thing that I am surrounded by a whole bunch of very spiritual people, shamans, healers, really good friends. But another thing that I found out during this whole shift in my life is it became very clear to me the people in my life that needed to go, completely needed to go. And one of them was a spiritual friend that is an amazing healer and an amazing psychic astrologer and everything that I've known for 25 years. And it was interesting because she said some really awful, mean things to me when she kept insisting that I need a reading. And I'm sorry, I don't play that game. I need a reading. You're only going to call me when you want a reading. I'm sorry, but now you're psychic. If you would have called me on the phone and said, here, I'll exchange readings with you. Would you like to exchange readings? I would have totally said, yeah, man, let me look at my schedule and see what I could find. But at the point that she called me is when I was sick for a week. And I told her, look, I am sick and I have to reschedule all my clients, and all my clients, I don't want to make them wait 6 weeks. So I got to put them in on my days off. So I don't have a day off till May 10th. So no, I can't do that right now. And she just said the most meanest, nasty things to me that I had to block her out of Facebook, block her out of my life, block her phone number. And Spirit, over that transitional period the past month, has really made it clear to me the things that I need to do for myself and the people that need to not be a part of that. It's just amazing. And I tell this to you because it's got to be happening to many of you, if not all of you out there. You're becoming very aware of those things in your life that are toxic to you, whether it be something with your body, mind, or spirit, whether it be a friendship, a relationship, the job that you work in. Another friend of mine told me just recently that she quit her job. And I texted her back. I'm like, woohoo, good thing that you did. And she's like, well, no, it's not good. Even though I hated that job and I quit, but now I'm jobless and I have to pay my bills. I'm like, yeah, but you couldn't have picked a better time to do that and say yes to that. That's what these shifts are all about, saying yes to yourself and doing things that bring joy and happiness into your life. And that's why I insisted to her to make sure that you put out to the universe specifically to bring you an opportunity that's going to help you reach your fullest potential and bring more joy and happiness into your life. The universe will bring you anything you ask for if you ask for it correctly and you stay focused on the light and on the love. And this year, I've also noticed that we're able to manifest things much quicker than we've ever been able to manifest things before. So it's pretty amazing and pretty exciting at the same time. So I'm very excited. I hope you're all excited about it too. Let's talk of what time we got here on the thing. I don't want to waste too much time. Wow, time flies. Holy moly. My Lord. So I actually want to take some of the questions from starting with YouTube first. Actually, let's go to Blog Talk Radio first, being this will be my last episode on Blog Talk Radio. So is there anybody that has any questions in Blog Talk Radio that has to do with the topics that we are discussing this evening? And I'll keep an eye out for that while I tell you about the next shift. So that shift ended. Prince died. His death was announced the end of that full moon cycle. The day after that full moon cycle was the next full moon. The day after he was announced dead was the next full moon. And then the same day was Earth Day. That's huge. It's Earth Day. And was the beginning of Passover too. So all that significance in that Friday before he died. And that was like the pause break. That same Friday is basically when the world began to illuminate in purple and violet all over the world. So doing that on a full moon, on Earth Day, and on Passover, I mean, how amazing is the Lord and the divine to have planned that so specifically. And so there's so much significance in the timing of it and in the dates related to it. And that was a 22 day. Remember, I told you 22 is a master number, and a master number. So it all happened on the 22nd as well. The day after the full moon, the day of Prince's passing, was the day that the memorial got really big, and they were handing out those boxes with open hearts from the family to the fans. So many amazing things happened in this process. I encourage you all to look up, because even if you watch my video, I didn't even get through half of what the representation of Archangel Ezekiel and Saint Germain are all about, not including the spiritual meaning behind the color violet and purple. I mean, it's amazing. There's so much to it. I already know that myself. Purple is my favorite color myself. Even my, what is this thing called? Google Chrome is all in purple. I mean, I've always had it that way. It's just purple is my color. Violet is my color. I love violet. So it's all about honoring that color purple, honoring that and welcoming it into your life. I would highly suggest that you burn purple candles if you can find purple candles, and start to honor Prince for what he's done, honor Archangel Ezekiel, Saint Germain. As a matter of fact, I got to print out some pictures. I'm not going to be able to do it tonight because by the time I'm done the show and rest for a little bit, I'm going to need to go to sleep. Try to get to bed early, even though I'm up with the birds every morning. And I've never been up with the birds every morning since I was a bartender 20 years ago. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Actually, I used to go to bed when the birds were getting up when I was a bartender. Now I'm getting up when the birds are coming up. So how much of an interesting change is that? And even though I'm a good sleeper. I love my sleep, and I would go to bed at 12 midnight and sleep till 9 in the morning. And back in the day, I'd go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning a couple years ago and get up at 11 o'clock in the morning. But now I'm up at the break of daylight, which I love actually, because that was one of the goals that I put out in my intentions to the universe about a year or so ago, that I wanted to be able to get up early in the morning with the sunrise and go to bed early as well. So my body's readjusting, and that's probably why I have severe insomnia going on right now. But it'll adjust. That happens when we make big changes and big things shifted in our lives. Someone in the chat room is saying, has anyone been experienced crazy anxiety, crazy moments of emotion and depression during this shift? Well, the shift has actually ended on the full moon, that particular shift. And yes, I never even had anxiety like I actually had a panic attack at one of my group readings right before I began my transformation, my other parts of my transformation. Yes, I experienced emotion, but you got to give into that emotion. You got to allow it to come out, because when we cry and when we have moments like that, it's shedding layers that need to be shed of emotion and things, so that we can get to that core self that I talked about with you earlier, that core love and light within you. That's really, really important for all of us to do right now. Really, really important for all of us to do right now, as much as you possibly can. So go with the flow. Don't fight it. Like I said, if you fight it, and I almost gave into it, the energy earlier this year, until Spirit started to show me things. It started to show me exactly the things I needed to change, or otherwise I would have been in that same darkness as many others. So when you are having these bouts of depression and you're having these anxiety, you have to find a way of channeling that energy. And you channel that into, the easiest thing to do is to channel that into doing things that bring you joy and happiness, whether it's going for a walk, hanging out with your kids, hanging out with your grandkids, going to the movies, going to whatever it is that brings you joy and happiness. You have to start doing those things, because the more we celebrate life, the more we celebrate joy and happiness, the more our hearts begin to open more and more and more. And it's actually really amazing and exciting. And I'm looking very forward to this shift on the planet. So again, it ended on the full moon, that particular cycle, because I figured it out, because Spirit told me that the full moon, right after the full moon in May and right after the full moon in July, would be big shifts of energy. They didn't tell me about the one in April. I mean, in March, didn't even tell me about that one at all. And when I asked about it, like I told you, they told me that that was nothing in comparison to what we're going to experience in the future. So the full moon cycle that we're in now is kind of like a little bit of the quiet period, even though it's not going to really be quiet, but quieter than it was the last month, less anxiety than it was the last month. And look, not being able to sleep at night, that's so unusual for me, like so unusual. And I could take a little half of a 5 milligram melatonin, and that would knock me out like as if I took a Xanax or something. I couldn't even take a Xanax, because that would make me sleep for 5 days. Like, oh God, I don't even know how people take that stuff. Oh, it's awful. I take 2.5 milligrams of melatonin, that would knock me out. There was one point during that 1 week of huge transformation in my life, I would take 5 milligram melatonin and still be up the whole entire night and get 2 hours of sleep. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on right now on the planet? And then May. So again, when we have the shift on May, let's look, the May full moon is the 23rd. No, it's the 21st. So the 21st. So I'm going to say by June 1st, that's when we could start to really the energy will get really heavy by that point. And that's when you might even see me post something about it on social media again. And then it'll be a week after that we'll start to see earth changes, probably, between the 6th and the 11th, which could include earthquakes and things like that, floods, big stuff like that. And then it's going to be the week after that. Actually, it won't even, it'll probably be the week of the 13th, actually. The 13th to the 17th will probably be when we see the earth changes. The week before that, the first week of June, the 6th through the 11th, would be advisable for you to make your own personal transformation changes at that point and go with the flow for the rest of the next 3 weeks. Then I'm sorry, let me go back again. I didn't realize that the full moon in June is on a Monday, the 20th. So yeah, we'll actually start feeling it before the first week of June. that's when we'll end up having to use that energy for our own personal transformation. The second week of June, the 6th to the 11th, is when we will probably see big earth changes. And then the weekend, the 16th through the 19th, and maybe even the 21st, the day after full moon, is when we're going to see some kind of major thing happen in the world, which seems to be the pattern. I have to go back and look at David Bowie and when he died. Exactly. I wouldn't doubt. That'd be really interesting. Does anybody actually, can somebody do that for me? I'm going to go back into my chat room on Blog Talk. Can somebody in Blog Talk go and search the date of David Bowie's death for me, please? Because I'm going to check that and compare that to my schedule here that I have. So then June is the quiet period. When the June full moon comes in, that's going to be the quiet period from the June full moon to the July full moon. So we can expect June 22nd to start to chill out energetically, maybe the 23rd, because there's that 22 again. And by the 18th of July is when that calmness will go away. The full moon in July is on the 19th, which is a Tuesday. And by the 26th, you're going to start to really feel it. And by early August is when we're going to see more major stuff happen, both with earth changes and stuff like that, the first and second week of June. And then the last part of the second week of June into the third week of June is when we can also experience other things. It's interesting. I'm looking at the calendar, actually. And August 16th, which is the 2 days before the end of the cycle of that full moon, was Elvis Presley's death date in 1977. So that's kind of interesting. Wonder if that has anything to do with anything. So does anybody, David Bowie died on January 10th. So let me go back to January 10th and see what that looks like with the moon cycle. January 10th. Well, January 10th was actually a week and a half before, almost 2 weeks before the full moon. So yeah, there probably wasn't a shift of energy in December like it was that we just experienced in March. But again, we're going to experience the one from mid-May to mid-June. Mid-June to mid-July will be quiet. And then from mid-July to mid-August, we're going to see major shifts again. And then I would take a guess, even though Spirit hasn't told me, I'll take a guess here that mid-July, mid-August is the next big shift. Mid-August to mid-September is going to be the quiet period. And then mid-September, the 16th full moon, right after that, from the 16th of September until October 16th, both 16s, that's got to be significant. I wish we had Allison Bauman with us, the numerologist, right now, because she would tell us how significant that would be. I would expect a shift then, too. And the interesting thing is that's when the election is, too. No, the election's in November. The election's in November. And the election is, what, November 2nd or something? When's the election? I think it's November 2nd. Yes, that's what I think is going to be. So more earth changes. Now, somebody said online about a date that all this stuff is going to happen in 2024 or some year like that. And me and several very connected spiritual people have focused on a date, and we're not getting a date, which means that every day it changes and shifts. Yeah, maybe it could be 2030, but maybe after Prince's death and the whole planet illuminating in violet and purple, maybe it got moved back because the darkness is starting to lose, and the darkness is really getting pissed off about it. Really, really pissed off about it. Their plans are failing. Everything that they're doing is failing on them, because what happens is they keep doing the same crap over and over again, and it's just not working anymore. Faking school shootings, faking terrorist attacks, and all the things that they do, putting fear into people. And that's why I got to a point looking up all that Illuminati and Luciferian stuff that it really started to put fear into myself. And then I realized that you can't be doing that. You got to cut yourself free from that and stay focused on the positive. You can talk about it, bring it up, but don't be like, oh my God, the Illuminati's coming. They're going to get us. Oh my God. Because if we do create our own reality. And if you're, oh my God, then your reality is going to be Armageddon. While all the rest of us realities is going to be, it's a beautiful, amazing day on the planet Earth. So remember, we do create our own reality. I would also advise you that if you're getting pulled to move to a certain area outside of the area that you currently live to a different state, I would advise you to start working on methods of doing that as soon as you possibly can. just because there isn't a date. And I see that a lot of my friends that used to live where I live out in Massachusetts now, which is what I don't like to say safe zone, because it's not a safe zone, but it's a better place to be. Because I've been saying it for years that where I live right now is going to be underwater. New York City is going to be underwater. New Jersey is going to be underwater. But we can't even care about it or focus on that, because that's the earth shifting and changing. God's done this before. We're not the first ones. We go back to the Atlanteans tens of thousands of years ago, whether you believe it or not. And they already found Atlantis off the coast of Cuba. And that's the interesting thing too, is if you read about Archangel Ezekiel rolling over Atlantis and Atlantis being connected to Cuba, they found off the coast of Cuba under the water tens of thousands of feet deep that they can't even get to, but they use that sonar and stuff. A duplicate replica of ancient Egypt with the pyramids, the Sphinx, and everything. That's amazing, because that's the Bermuda Triangle is where Atlantis was once upon a time. Atlantis did exist, whether you believe it or not. It did. And like I said, do your research before you jump down people's throats and tell people that something's a bunch of bull crap until you actually do your research. Because I would think that things were crazy too until I did my research, and then I got the information from Spirit World. So I encourage you all to take advantage of the shift the best you possibly can. So now I'm going to switch over to YouTube chat room. Let me get in there. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh my God, where is it? There it is. There we go. Oh, shoot. Sugar. Does anybody in my YouTube chat room have any questions for me? I'm sorry. I told you I was tired and exhausted tonight. And I was supposed to be off today, and I had clients today because I had to transfer them from a couple of weeks ago when I wasn't well. The energy wonked me out pretty good, but in a good way. I don't take it as a bad. I mean, I didn't feel good, but I still don't take it as a bad thing. So, can you talk about the financial markets and the economy? Gold, silver, dollar. Thanks. You got it, my friend. And thank you, Conan. Conan reminds me of Conan the Barbarian. Yeah. So, wait a second. What happened there? Oh, there we go. The economy, that's going to be probably one of the first things, and that's probably going to be maybe even part of the, I don't know. It's hard to say whether the darkness would do that or the light would do that, because you got to remember the financial markets, the economy, and all that is ran right now by the darkness. Banks are the darkness. If you go back to the forefathers of the United States, one of the big things that they did not want was banks in this country. They did not want it. They didn't want any banking, any taxing, none of that. Our forefathers would be so pissed off right now by what's happening on this planet and what this country, United States, has done. The other thing that I thought was interesting, I think it's Ezekiel. I forget which one. I'm pretty sure Ezekiel, Archangel Ezekiel. I didn't know that he was a ruler over the United States. I thought that was really, really interesting. And also one that cleans up towns, pollution, and everything that I talked about earlier. So the markets, the economy, yeah, of course it's going to collapse eventually. And we're gold, silver, dollar isn't even going to be worth anything eventually. You know, the darkness, they're trying to do that one world government and the one world money, one world money. That's part of their plan. You know, one world religion, one world government, one world money. And that one world religion is hidden under the Muslim religion. Nothing against Muslims at all, folks, and Muslim people out there. Because you also, like every other religion, look at Catholicism. Catholicism, you have priests that work in the light and you have priests that worked in the dark. Look at what happened with the Catholic Church and the fall of it because of the molestations of children. So same thing with any other religion or anything out there. There's the dark side and the light side. And the darkness is hiding under the Muslim rule. And that's part of their thing, is to take over the whole world with the Muslim religion, but the dark part of the Muslim religion. Again, that's not going to happen, because when the world starts shaking and people see devastation the way they say it, they're going to realize that they need to come together in pure love. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be amazing. Actually, what we need to do is get excited about it, get excited about the changes, get excited that we won't have to be in debt anymore, get excited that we won't have mortgages anymore to pay, that we're going to come together in community the way we're supposed to, the way our ancestors did it. Wow, now, yeah, we live in communities, but nobody knows each other. And most of them hate each other and dislike each other. I don't even like to say the word hate, because my mother used to always teach us as children that hate is a very strong word. Do not use it. So people don't even know their neighbors. I mean, I know my neighbors because I'm a very social person and I have awesome neighbors. And my other neighbor on the other side, I grew up in the house that I live in because I purchased it off my father years ago. But I love my neighbors and I have communication with all of them, the ones on each side of me and the one behind me. But at the same time, most people don't know nobody in their neighborhood. Whereas in community, everybody knows each other and everybody's together in pure love. And then we have the elders of the tribes. And the elders we put on a pedestal because they're the ones that teach us, because they've been there, done that. What do we do to our elders nowadays? We throw them in nursing homes. Well, in the United States, they do. We throw them in nursing homes. We put them on tons of medication because why? Because the government and them don't want you to get the knowledge that our elders have. Because the elders are where it's at. We need to start treating our elders with respect once again, helping out elder people. Anytime I see like an older, especially an older lady, like carrying bags or unloading her cart, I'll go up and be like, ma'am, may I help you with this, please? And sometimes they look at me like I have two freaking heads and one coming out of each shoulder, maybe three heads. Like, you want to do what? No, I got it. I'm okay. And they think that like I'm trying to do something because they're so used to being in a fear-driven area. Not all of them, but some of them. It's kind of sad. Actually, I need to take a quick break and see if I can see what I can do here. But I'm going to take a quick break. So while I do so, I ask you to please be patient. I will be right back. I do need to take a break. And I think my doggy needs to go POTTY. But maybe not. But as soon as I get up, she might bark and want to go out. So I thought that there was a way of pausing this YouTube, but it's not letting me do it. Oh, wait. Yes, I can. I can do this. So hold on a second. I'm going to pause my YouTube for a moment. Oh, it's not going to let me. So So you're going to be blacked out for a moment. And my friends on Blog Talk Radio are going to hear a little music. Well, actually, you'll all probably hear a little music. I'll put that on there for you. And I will be back in just a few minutes to continue speaking to you. I must take a little run to the gentleman's room. So don't you go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Yeti Toasters.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Let me turn my video back on. There we go. Hi. Hello there. Thank you for joining me tonight. Another thing I want to encourage you folks again to follow me on YouTube and such, and not just YouTube. Subscribe to my page on YouTube down below if you're on YouTube right now. And I noticed that in the past when I've done YouTube live videos that people left comments, I'm not seeing you live because these shows, once they're done, it's kind of like Blog Talk Radio, they'll go into the archives on my YouTube channel. So you can always watch this later. Eventually, I'll find a way of eventually taking people's phone calls again, like I used to in the past. But I spent 8 years probably doing thousands and thousands of free readings on radio, starting off on Philadelphia radio. And I just kind of think it's time for a break. I took a little break last summer, but I think it's time for a big break to focus on my book and workshops and stuff like that. Because I have people all over the world that can't come to attend the workshops that have been asking me, and I just haven't had time to do it. That's why I have a personal assistant that's going to be doing all my scheduling soon that will give me the time to allow to do that. So I'm going to hop back over to the chat rooms and take a few questions. I don't know, man. My house, it's so hot in my house right now, and I got fans on, but I can feel a nice cool breeze finally coming through the windows. Finally. I am ready for summer because I do not at all like cold weather at all. Me and cold weather do not get along. So does anybody on YouTube have any channels? I mean, any questions, any channels? Say, I told you I'm tired and exhausted. Going back to the markets, I would say that, yeah, sure, buy up some silver and gold while you can, especially gold. Gold is the color of the divine. Heaven is golden. It cracks me up when you watch movies and stuff and everything, God is white and heaven's white. It's not. And, years ago, people used to be all about the white light and the white light. And yeah, that's all good and great and all, but the purple light's better and the gold light's better than that, because gold is all about the divine and it's just amazing. So bring that in, bring in the golden light through the top of your head, bring in the purple through the top of your head, open it all up. And it'll be amazing for you. It'll be so amazing for you, but you got to do the work. And, I was so busy spending all my life helping everybody else and taking time for everybody else that I put my own self aside. And for the past, since 2012 is when it all started for me. But probably more like since 2013 is when I really started to do as much work on myself as I could. And I've done more work over the past year than probably ever. And that's what's important for us, is to focus on working on ourselves and getting ourselves into that place of pure love and joy. So that way that we can help others once we get to that spot. So gold would be awesome. Look back in history, the ancient people, they were all about the gold. Look at the ancient Egyptians, the Mayans, and so forth. They were all about the gold. But what's really going to be important for us when the big shift happens, and we don't know when that's going to be. It's little shifts here and there, and they feel big, but they're really not that big yet. And I'm thinking that if I'm still living where I live, that it's not going to happen anytime soon, folks. But it's funny, going back to friends I know that were a big part of my spiritual community. Most of them live up north now, Massachusetts and up in that area. And then a lot of other people are moving out west to getting out of this area. One of my friends I had lunch with today, they're working on their plan too, of eventually getting out of here. So it's happening. Once you start seeing everybody moving out and moving towards different places, that's when it's going to be coming. But again, no rush. Work on yourself right now. Get yourself into that place. I would say that when we get closer to that point, I'll let you know. It's not going to be real soon. And it's not even going to be, it could be within the next decade, like a decade down the road. But I'm thinking not. I am 45. I'll be 46 this year. And I'm thinking it's going to happen in my mid to late 50s, actually. So it could be a decade down the road. But, keep alert, because I will let you know when the time's going to come. Even if any of us do know, because we might not know. But if we go back to the ancient civilizations like the Mayans, it's interesting. If you watch shows and stuff, they talk about the Mayans disappearing and where'd they go. Mayans, they were very spiritually connected. They didn't disappear. They migrated. They migrated to safety when they had their shift, because they had a shift too. That really, and look at the the pyramids in Egypt, because, you know, we all are about the Egyptians and the pyramids of the Egyptians. I believe that those pyramids were there before the Egyptians got there. And those pyramids are a part of Atlantis. And those pyramids were used for something completely different, like power energy makers. And the Egyptians came along and used them later on, because especially means that they found all those pyramids and the whole replica of ancient Egypt underneath the ocean off the coast of Cuba. That just shows us that goes back to ancient times. And if you go back to also looking up history, you'll see that there's been many what they call extinction events, extinction level events, but there's never been a complete extinction of the planet. Even if you go back to the Bible and read about what Noah said, I'm not Noah said, but about Noah's Ark and such, which I believe some of that isn't all complete truth either, because it's kind of like, remember in school when we used to do whisper down the lane? I don't know if any of you did that, but the teacher would whisper a story to one student, and then the kid would turn around and tell the next person. And by the time it went all the way around the room and it came to the end, the story was completely different. And, you know, we've been thousands of years. The Bible has been rewritten so many times. I just love it when people tell me that it says in the Bible that what I do is against God's will. God loves all his and her children. God is universal, both male and female, 50% male, 50% female, just like we're 50% light, 50% dark. It's a balance of both feminine and masculine energies. What about Yellowstone volcanic activity? Well, yeah, that's a big one. Matt actually asking in the chat room. Thank you for joining me tonight, Matt and Dave and all the rest of you, Cosmic Carrie, Kathy, Conan, all you folks. Yeah, there's some crap's going to happen in California. Obviously, we all know that. You know, California is going to probably break off into the ocean eventually. But, you know, it is what it is. And Yellowstone could be a big part of that. I don't believe for a moment about the big volcano, you know, that, what do they call it? The super volcano that's going to happen. That could happen in Yellowstone to wipe out the world. It's not, I don't believe that's going to happen. God has never destroyed all his children before, and God and Goddess isn't about to do it now. And it's not like all of a sudden, you know, the divine wipes out all of us on the planet and then puts us back again. Because if you look at history, that's what people were saying. That's what they say, that if the Mayans disappeared, then the divine wiped them out. And then what the Big Bang created us all over again. That Big Bang thing's all a bunch of baloney too. We are a part of the Pleiadians, which come from the planet Pleiades, which is in the center of Orion's belt, that bright star in the center of Orion's belt. And that's why the three mesas in Arizona are aligned to Orion's belt, as are the Great Pyramids and all in Egypt are aligned to Orion's belt, because that is where we are partly from, or we have a lot to do with them anyway. I could tell you that much. So Hawaii, I don't have any insight on Hawaii. Hawaii is amazing, beautiful, magical. And I would think that Hawaii probably, you know, I mean, I'm sure it's going to experience some things, but a lot of the water levels are going to rise. But at the same time, when you have certain things like when part of the United States opens up, that water is going to fill in those gaps. So at the same time, you know, the water won't necessarily rise. When the poles do shift, there will be a deep freeze on one half of the planet. But again, it's not going to be. And that can change, you know, that might be the way it is now. But as these shifts and the divine sends these waves of energy and waves of love across the planet, it's going to keep changing and it's going to keep shifting, and anything is possible right now. So what we need to do is open up our hearts and put out the intention that all the world leaders of the world, and especially people that are so wrapped up in this election in the United States right now, it's ridiculous, first of all, because the whole thing's fixed and rigged. Our votes don't mean diddly. Only delegates' votes work, and those delegates those people are all paid lots of money to make their vote. So will the U.S. take back our government? I believe that in the future, there will be no governments. There will be we're going to go back to the old ways of spirituality and doing things, but we're going to be on a different level of consciousness too, not the same consciousness that we're on now. And when we're on a higher level of consciousness, we're more connected to the divine source. And that divine source, again, is pure love. So I say to you, put out the intention, people, that all the leaders of the world shift into leaders that are going to do the best and serve the fullest, highest potential for all of humanity in the planet Earth, to the point that they all come together in pure love and joy. And this is just a scenario. I'm just putting a scenario out there. Again, don't put negative comments saying that I'm supporting somebody, because I know I put up a video on Facebook about something that I liked that Bernie Sanders said, and everybody's like, people unliked my page. And I just think it's a joke that you can't even like somebody without somebody unliking you, or saying that you're supporting somebody. When I made predictions on my predictions that Hillary Clinton was going to be the next one in the White House, I said that 8 years ago. And people were like, oh, you're a Hillary supporter. Actually, you're wrong, because I do not support any of them that are in there. If I had to pick somebody, maybe I would pick Bernie if I had to, but I'm just putting a scenario out there. Say Bernie was honest to what he says. Say he is really all about the light, bringing down the corporations, bringing down the banks. Say it's all true. So let's put this scenario out there. Hillary wins the primary. Trump wins the other primary, or whoever, it doesn't matter. Hillary decides that in order to beat Trump or whoever, she's going to have to find a good vice president to be at her side. So she picks Bernie Sanders because of all the supporters that he has all over the country. That will ensure her vote. That'll ensure her win by double-digit numbers. And then while she's in the White House, I hate to say it, but she's going to fail. And I don't know how she's going to fail. Could be anything. Could be that she's shot. It could be that she resigns. It could be that she's impeached. Just again, this is a scenario. And then the vice president, which would be Bernie Sanders, becomes the president. And everything shifts on the planet when he does. And he starts to bring everything down like it needs to be. Because I can tell you, if there was a Clinton in the White House before, even though the Clinton years were good years in this country and in the world, but even still, everybody that's been in that White House for the past, 100 years, 200 years, have all been a part of that controlling. And they hid under so many names, the Illuminati, the Freemasons. I'm not saying that there's bad Freemasons. Again, it's all light, dark, but the Luciferians have been hiding under different fake names for a very long time, so that people don't know. And so people don't work against that darkness, that specific darkness. But I say to you again, put out a positive attention about everything. Positive intention that the world's going to shift, and then get excited about it. And this is how you manifest things in your life. Because right now our future's happening in a different world, in a different level, different dimension, maybe about a year ahead of us. And every day we program that future through our thoughts, words, and actions. Everything you say creates a little energy that goes out to the universe. The universe receives it, acts upon it, and sends it back to us. And I've noticed lately, especially this year, where I would say something specifically to the universe, like an assistant. Here we go. Perfect example. I put out to the universe that I wanted the universe to send me the perfect assistant to work for me. That isn't somebody that's a big fan of mine or a friend or anything like that. Just the perfect person with the open heart that would do their job well and would work in my best interest. And interesting enough, my doctor retired, about 6 months ago. And there was a girl, Heather, that worked at the front desk that was awesome. She's an awesome young girl. Awesome at doing all his scheduling and all the phone calls. And his office was extremely, extremely busy and chaotic and disoriented. And she kept everything organized. And out of the blue, after I put this message out to the universe, I got a few people that might have saw a post and tried to apply for the job. But to me, they're not the people I want. I want whatever the universe sends me out of the blue by coincidence. And she sent me a message on Facebook out of the blue by coincidence. And I thought that she was looking for a job. And one of my friends works at that doctor's office and worked with her. So I texted him and I first asked him, what do you think of her? Like working with her? He's like, oh man, she's awesome. You'll love her. So when she messaged me, I really thought that she was looking for a job, but I messaged her back saying, this is, the deal. I'm like, what do you need? And are you looking for a job? And she actually wasn't, but she's like, what do you have to offer? And she came to my house yesterday and we chatted about it for a few hours. I told her what I would need and what I'm looking for. And she's going to give me an answer in a few days, but I'm willing to bet that she'll probably be the one, just because of how it all fell into place and how I know that she would be the perfect person for that position, especially being that she can do this 2 days a week at my house, in my home office. And then she could do the rest at our home. She just had a baby, so it would be perfect for her to be able to just sit home and do my scheduling a couple hours a day. And it would free up so much time for me. So that's how you manifest things. I just put that out to the universe, and I thank the universe. I love you, universe. And I got excited about it. I can't wait. I'm going to be so excited to have this. And that's how it works, just like Arizona. Because right now, in my future, I already live in Sedona, Arizona. I'm already there. All I need to do is be patient, get excited about it, and it'll happen. But we need to do this together as a group. We need to come together as a group and get excited about the earth changes, get excited about finally evil not having control over us. And actually, there's I'm not going to say the person's name. Actually, they're a psychic, younger than me, and you know their name probably if I put it out there, some of you. And I noticed this person's posts are all about Hillary Clinton, and he's big into politics. And one time I posted under one of his posts that, aren't you a psychic, question mark? I'm like, don't you know that this whole system's rigged and that we are all slaves to the Federal Reserve and the government? And he got responded with such kind of like anger that I used the word slave, that how dare you use that word in this time and day? I'm like, hello, dude, wake up. We are slaves to the government and the Federal Reserve. Why is that a bad word? Slavery's been on this planet since the beginning of time. It's time for that to end too. But I couldn't believe how that person reacted, that somebody that's supposed to be in tune psychically. Kind of blew my mind, actually. And the way they reacted to me saying just one word of us being slaves to the government and such, it just was interesting to me. What we need to do is focus again on opening up our hearts, being filled with love, and putting out the intention every day that each and every day gets better and better, and that the universe is going to align everything perfect so that this whole planet lives together in pure love and peace, and that everything on the planet becomes whole again the way it was thousands of years ago. Because it's going to happen, and the more we put out that attention, the faster we can get it to happen. Because it's really up to us. You know, going back, I'm not, even though I grew up Catholic, not a big Bible reader or into the Bible, but I do remember things from Bible school and Catholicism and Catholic school and such. And somewhere in the Bible, it talked about, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Oh my God, I just totally lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. But anyway, that's the case. Anybody else have any questions? Because as you notice, I'm losing my thoughts and I need to get out of here and get some rest. But now I again encourage you, because even though I will find a way to start doing phone calls again eventually when the time's right, and it probably won't be until I get out to Arizona, doing readings again like I did, free readings for people. I've done thousands and thousands of them. But now it's time again for me to do a little me time. But I do give away a lot of free readings to people. When I do events, I do raffles and pick out free readings for people. Sometimes if I see something on social media, or if I see somebody, sometimes I'll contact them and be like, call my office. I want to give you a reading. When people ask for it, no, I don't give it to them. I give it to people that I feel need it. Or when people do ask for it, I send them to the radio show. But interest rates this year. Well, again, they're going to try to tax us to death and everything else, but we need to not worry about that and focus on that. What we need to focus on is the future, where we don't have debt, where we don't have banks controlling us, where we are living in community and we're growing our own food, loving one another and connecting and helping and healing each other, doing prayer or ceremony or whatever ends up happening at the time. That's what our focus needs to be. And Debbie, yes, in the chat room, I will be in Lilydale this year. And I hope to be in Sedona at some point, but I'm also going to Japan sometime within the year as well, because I do have, my book just got picked up by a publishing company in Japan, and they want to meet with me, and I know they want me to write another book and sign a contract. It's interesting. I have to self-publish in the United States, and I'm not even in Japan, and my book gets picked up by a publishing company in Japan. It's very, very interesting to me. But I need to sign off now. My question is, did you get to be... You're funny, Carrie. You are very funny. That's cute. How did I get to be so awesome? How did you get to be so awesome? Probably the same way I did. Are you going? You never know where I'm going to be. People are asking me, are you going to be in Connecticut? Are you going to be there? Is your book in English? Yes, of course my book is in English. It's on Amazon.com, Messages from the Other Side. And I'm working on my second book very soon. And I'm even more excited about that, because that's going to be a worldwide bestseller. It's going to help open people up and change people's lives. So get excited about your life. Get excited about your journey and start doing, again, especially with your job and work, start doing what you what makes you happy and what makes you joyful. And I must kind of leave you with that, because Blog Talk Radio is over. As you see, I'm being given my 90-second warning, and I will have to say goodbye to all my friends on Blog Talk Radio. My final goodbye to all of you on Blog Talk Radio. But it's not a final goodbye. It's only a final goodbye to Blog Talk Radio. Because it's just, I can't do Blog Talk anymore. You know, they billed me when I wasn't there, they weren't supposed to, and it's just too many technical difficulties, and I take these all as signs that it's time for me to go. 60 seconds, and I'm out of Blog Talk Radio for good. So if there's anything on Blog Talk that you like, past shows, you can listen to them on iTunes. I don't know how long they're going to be there. I'm not sure how that process works, but I'm going to leave my friends at Blog Talk Radio. I love you and thank you for joining me as always. And remember, keep following and keep things going, because you never know where I'll end up. You never know when you could end up with a reading. You never know when you might end up with a live show where I'm taking calls. But you got to keep following me. You got to keep on track with me. So let me say bye to my Blog Talk people first. I love you all so very much. I hope you have a great evening. Remember, focus on the love. Spread your light. Spread your love. And spread the message of love and peace, pure love. And I thank all my friends on Blog Talk Radio, and I will leave you with that. And I leave them behind. And let me turn that volume down and continue for a moment on YouTube and finish off this YouTube broadcast. I wasn't actually planning on being here till 9:30. I was only planning on being here till 9 o'clock, but time flies on. Time keeps going. Bye, Felicia. Where does that even come from? Where does that come from? Bye, Felicia. I see that sometimes. And where does it come from? Somebody tell me where that comes from. Is it a movie or something? Because I'm just wondering. Just curious about that. When is my next episode? I guess you're asking, Dave, about YouTube episode. I'm not sure yet. Probably soon, I would say. I'm going to try to be on here as often as I can, at least once a week, but I am going to be taking a break over the next month to get caught up and get things organized. I mean, if you could see my desk right now, it's a disaster. I have bills piled up over here. I have paperwork piled up over here. I haven't even got my taxes done this year yet. I just got so much to catch up on. And I need Tuesdays are supposed to be my day off, and I'm going to need those days to do my catching up. So that's what that's going to be all about. Other than that, my computer died that I had Blog Talk Radio on. Yeah, you know what? So many people have problems with Blog Talk Radio. They can't listen from their phone. I mean, it's just a pain in the ass. Excuse me, but it is. That's why I am finally out of Blog Talk Radio. Let me tell you, it's like a big weight just lifted. Oh, you see Mary Jean, she's pacing because it's 9:30 and she every night at 9:30 gets very impatient because she wants her TREAT for the night. Look, she's scratching the pole. She's getting very impatient. She's so moody, little bitch. She really is, technically, by the definition of a book. But yeah, she's bugging me because it's 9:30 and she wants her TREAT. Remember, wear purple, burn. Yeah, I did the tax extension. Thank you very much. Burn purple candles, wear purple, bring that purple light in. Go out and look up the prayers for Archangel Ezekiel and Saint Germain. Doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what you practice. Just incorporate it. Doesn't matter as long as you do it out of love. I mean, I work with a lot of ancient Egyptians, gods and goddesses, especially Anubis, which my dog was named after, my other dog. Isis, a whole bunch. I mean, they're tattooed all over my body. This is actually my favorite tattoo right there, which is the god Horus, the falcon god, who came to my window one day when I asked the universe, what tattoo am I supposed to get next? I asked the universe what tattoo I was supposed to get next because I was going to something called Spirit Ink, where they it's the most amazing thing where a bunch of people come together in the spiritual community to support each other. And the whole weekend or the whole day is filled with people getting spiritual tattoos that mean something to them. And while you're getting your tattoo, people either give you healing energy, people drum, people chant, and it's pretty amazing. So I was scheduled to go get a tattoo, and I didn't know what I was going to get. So I asked the universe, I'm like, what am I supposed to get? Tell me, please. Because I'm scheduled, it was right before my birthday, I think last year. And then I was sitting in my kitchen cooking dinner, and I have this little tiny hummingbird feeder that sits on my window, like that suction cups to my window, so I can watch them out the window. And you got to peek, because when you open up the curtain, all the birds fly away, because I feed all the birds and the hummingbirds. And I'm cooking dinner, and I hear this rattling at my window, and it kept rattling. I'm like, what the hell is at my window? And I pull the curtain, thinking that whatever's there is going to run away anyway. And I don't even know how it even did it, but standing on the top of this little tiny round topped, long, about that long, mini hummingbird feeder was a falcon. And he was looking in the window, or she was looking in the window, probably he was looking in the window at me, hawking and pecking on the window. It was amazing. It blew my mind. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm supposed to honor the falcon and the god Horus. And that's how I ended up with that tattoo. Everyone has a story to it, actually. It's pretty amazing. And I had my first tattoo when I was 18. And I never got a tattoo since. And it was about 4 years ago, when my life went into major transformation in 2012, that I was told by Spirit to honor the god Anubis, who is the guardian of the gates of heaven, or the underworld, whatever you want to refer to it as. And I work with him when I do my connections with Spirit. And I was told to honor him with a tattoo. I'm like, I'm not getting no tattoo. That hurts. I don't like pain. I'm like a big wimp when it comes to pain. But they said, you got to do it. And at that time in my life, I just ended an 8-year relationship. And the person did a lot of lying, and I'm just the total wrong person to lie to, because I will know if you're lying to me. If you lie to me or cheat on me, I will know instantly. Duh, hello, you've been with me 8 years. You think you'd know, you idiot. And after that hurt, I felt that my heart hurt so much, a tattoo can't possibly hurt. And it actually didn't. And since that, I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tattoos in 3 years, 4 years almost. And I'm about to go get 2 more that I don't even want to get, because again, I don't like pain or needles. But when Spirit tells me to do something, tattoos actually activate things within our soul and within our spirit. And it makes sense to me with the ancient Egyptian stuff, because I know I go back to ancient Egypt from some of my past life regressions. So if you get directions to get something or honor something on your body, you should perhaps do the same thing. So I leave you with that, my friends. Until the next time, I hope you all have a beautiful evening, a beautiful week. Until the next time I see you, I hope everything goes amazing in this amazing time of transformation. Remember, spread your light, spread your love, spread the message. And that message is pure love, joy, and happiness. And do all the things in your life that make you joyful and happy. Thank you to all my Blog Talk watchers for the past 8 years, 7 years, and all my fans all over, especially even in Japan. I thank you all, and I love you. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening.